short time ago, a viewer named Lynn had commented that I must check out the Shire while I was traveling through New Brunswick, Canada. So I loaded up my camper and made a trip to see what it was all about. I found this free campsite near the New Brunswick shore in the little hamlet of New Horton. It's about 2 hours from the US border, or 50 minutes from Moncton. After finding a nice spot to camp, I noticed somebody was waiting to greet me. According to the sign, this must be Sally Dog, the camp mascot, and she was all ready to escort me across the road to see the owner of the Shire. Like Peter Fonda in Easy Rider, a man on wheels appears on the horizon.
Dog's name is Hope.
This is Hope.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a little bit of hope, isn't it?
There's another dog right over here. Her name is
Oh,
Sally.
there's Sally. Hi, Sally.
Yeah.
And you must be Dawn.
I am, yeah.
Hey, Dawn. I'm Slim.
Yeah, me too.
You are, exactly. See, we're two of a kind, right? I just need the hat.
Yeah.
Dawn's camp lookout is his sunroom, where he invited me to chat. Oh, this is comfy.
Yeah.
I love this place. I love how you decorated it.
Yeah, well, actually I had a little help. My son lives with me, and he loves doing this stuff too, so.
And you've got grapes right inside your house.
Yeah, so this is where I live. I sit over here and watch the campers across the road here.
The campground.
Yeah.
I think we better talk about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of evolved, this thing.
Yeah.
And I was living here by myself, and I had rooms here, lots of room in my house here. It's a log cabin.
Yeah.
So I put a sign out saying rooms to rent. So I ended up getting a letter from the powers to be that I couldn't do that. Anyway, I did it. I decided I would have a campground across the road, so I put a sign, family camping across the road.
So what exactly is the Shire, you ask? In a word, eclectic. An old retired trailer is an office and library. A burrowed log shelter keeps the camp pizza oven and walking sticks dry. The Tin Man searches the horizon for a heart and a little machine oil. There's a hangout for buoys lost at sea, a covered fire pit with hanging benches, and a large grassy area to stake your claim and have yourself a truly unique camping experience. But beware, as the hills have eyes here, and really bad hair days. One interesting thing about the Shire is the neighbors are so quiet. It's not because they're shy, it's because they're dead. Come see. Out past the horseshoe pit is a magical gate that keeps the evil spirits at bay. But those mortals with friendly hearts can enter at will. Yes, I'm sure the Ha Ha Cemetery provides plenty of laughs for those not familiar with its history, but Ha Ha was a local indigenous word meaning portage. Inside are the markers of the early European settlers who braved the seas to call this area home. While disease and harsh living claimed many, occasional feuds also populated a few gravestones. One of particular interest to me was Captain David Kopp, who in 1821 was unfortunately killed by a fall from his horse in the 99th year of his age. What a valiant way to end a century of living. One of the oldest markers was from 1818, a young man named William Reed. In life esteemed, in death deplored, the mouldering body lies, till the new heavens and earth restore, shall raise him to the skies. But what word was chiseled out and replaced with the word death? Perhaps only the dead can answer. Well, those that rest feed toadstools best, but all is not to grieve. For beyond the strife, it's full of life, as this Shire path will heed. This little trail leads from the camping area down to the marshes below. It's a little overgrown perhaps, but it's just a short walk to the natural surroundings. And near the end, the reward is a couple of chairs under a mountain ash to provide bird watchers a great vantage point to the wetlands. A little later, I followed Don back to his house to learn more about the Shire.
Now, I've got a theory, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, why you call it the Shire. I'm thinking it was you're a Rocky fan.
Actually, it wasn't my idea. It was the younger generation. My son was familiar with that movie. What was the movie?
Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings, yeah. So he thought that would be a good name for the...
So it wasn't Rocky with Talia Shire, it was Lord of the Rings.
No, I had to ask him what it meant, the word Shire. So anyway, that's how much I knew about the movie. I just called it family camping. And then we got the sign made up, and this evolved into what we're doing today.
So how long have you been offering free camping to the general public?
I have this is all I can remember. I have guest books over in the campground.
Yep.
And the first guest book was 2004. So I'd done it before that, but I can't remember this exactly.
I could talk to Don forever, but it was time to hit the road and do some exploring of the local area. About 25 minutes northeast of the Shire, or 35 minutes south of Moncton, is the world-famous provincial park called Hopewell Rocks. Although no camping is available, it does have an interpretive center and plenty of trails to explore. This one leads to the Cape Rocks, one of its main attractions. Although many just walk through this path without a second glance, I took my time to explore what was hidden amongst the trees. In the time it took for my casual stroll, the weather kind of changed a little. Situated right along the Bay of Fundy shores are eroded sandstone formations called Flower Pot Rocks. Both their appearance and visibility change constantly, not only with the weather, but as the daily tides rise and fall approximately every 6 hours. And right now, it's at high tide. Watch closely as a dull and dreary day comes to life with a few colorful visitors. These special kayak tours are by reservation only, and I didn't have one. I'd love to try it, but like this guy, I could only envy from a distance. While seeing the Flower Pot Rocks at high tide is extraordinary, The downside is there is little or no access to the shore. So please make sure you plan on coming back in a few hours, as a major transformation is sure to take place. What was hidden underwater is now revealed, and the tourists flock to explore the shore. Like the trunk of a furry mammoth, this massive seaweed clings to the sandstone cliffs that tower above. This wall is a perfect example of how high the tide is, because where I'm standing right now, the seaweed's above me. This is the highest tide in the world. But why are the tides so high here? Apparently it has as much to do with the geography as with the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon. The shape of the Bay of Fundy forms a natural funnel and resonance that forces the water higher than anywhere else in the world. And at Hopewell Rocks, the tide rises 46 feet. Looking towards the mouth of the bay, you see a massive expanse not of water, but of mud. These are the exposed mud flats of the low tide. It's fascinating to stand inside caves that only hours before were submerged by the sea, and will go back to the sea in a short time. But at this point, the sands are still draining.
Well, everybody knows Canada rocks and New Brunswick rocks, but now Hopewell Rocks.
The sea at the right time can be so calm and inviting, but when it's angry, it'll froth with rage. Believe it! I came all this way and it's locked. I forgot my cape and it's windy. I'm just so frustrated. I'm just so angry. What's that word? I can't think of it. Cape Enrage is about 12 minutes south of the Shire and features a picturesque lighthouse precariously perched on top of a jagged coastal cliff. Its name was inspired by an exceptionally ferocious sea, its temper inflamed by a large coral reef. Not everyone is enraged by its wrath. Some are enchanted by its power. But back at the Shire, all is calm and quiet. Time to liven it up with another visit with Don. Oh, I love this garden.
Yeah.
Pumpkins. Squash.
And these are ground cherries, I guess.
I've never heard of them.
They come up year after year if the climate is right, eh?
Oh, is that right?
Anyway, so
It's just like a vine, like a creeper.
as you see, there's all kinds of them growing here. But these are not ready yet, so they're pretty well finished. They're ready to eat right there. So pick them out open and try one. I like them. There's lots of them there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's an original flavor.
Yeah.
It's not exactly, it's sweet and it's,
Yeah.
Tart?
It's got a very, very good flavor.
oh, it's more like a tomato, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. After a visit to his garden, it was back to the sunroom for more chatter.
I know there's a lot of people that had a new interest in living in rural communities.
Yeah.
Some of the people that have been traveling have been getting into homesteading lately.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be a perfect example. Your cabin here of somebody starting from whatever you have around you, not spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think, a lot of things you can grow on your own.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff you discover as you're living in the country. Yeah.
Has there been anything that you want to share with us, particular herbs or something medicinal?
I do. I have something right here that might be interesting to you. But a lot of people know about it. But I just learned about it maybe 10 years ago. I had a friend drop in. That is chaga. It grows on the birch trees.
Oh, I was hoping you were giving me a gold nugget there.
So
it's called chaga,
chaga, yes.
and it grows on the trees.
Yeah, and you actually steep it in water. It makes a tea. And
It's fragrant.
there's a lot of information on it if you start digging. I couldn't find it in the forest, but I came out here and I looked at a tree that I had a clothesline on one time. I looked up and there it was.
There it was,
right beside my house all
hanging
the time.
up on the trunk of the tree.
Yeah, and now when I go walking in the woods, I keep my eye open on the birch trees. You can see it growing anywhere. Sometimes big pieces of it. And you can actually, there's stores that you can buy it in. But
Probably pay a lot for it too.
yeah, I never had to buy it, but it's more fun for me to find it in the woods.
Well, I'll have to check that out. But it's a herbal tea made out of like a fungus that grows on birch trees.
Yeah, it is.
That's new to me. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, you just put it in steep it, and you can steep it. I have no idea how many times you can take one piece and just keep making tea out of it.
Oh yeah, it looks like it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Cool. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
After a little shut-eye, Hope needed a little exercise. So we went out for a stroll. Although Don's quite the talker, he's also a walker. And he invited me to tag along on one of his favorite hiking trails. These were the woods that Don grew up in. And while parts of them seemed a little eerie and mysterious to people like me, there was other sections that opened up to reveal a hidden paradise.
Feels good, I hope.
Now, I'm not a fan of graffiti, but Don had a secret. For whatever you etch on a rock here, the tide will erase in a few hours. Some things in life are fleeting, like ripples on the shore. But others are timeless, like ancient fossils on the rocks.
It's easy to understand why anybody want to stay more than just an overnight in a place like this. I mean, walking, if I was driving down the road, it just looks like, rural countryside and lots of little pretty houses. But I think that's one thing a lot of people miss when they're traveling. Like when they're out on the highway or they're going somewhere, they're going from point A to point B.
Yeah.
They never take the time to find out what's in the middle.
Yeah.
They've got something in their mind that, we're going to go see this falls.
Yeah, but they drive right by the...
They drive by a beautiful little brook. They drive by a lot of wildlife, the local history.
Yeah.
There's just so much to see that it's, they get to their destination and they take their selfie and they go back.
That's true.
But, and that's why I think when people are planning a holiday and they want to travel, they want to camp, they got to be open-minded. It's not just what you think you want to see. You've got to allow for what may appear at the time.
The little surprises.
The little surprises. That's what camping is all about.
On the road.
Yeah. I mean, you go like, not that there's anything wrong with Niagara Falls, but you go to Niagara Falls, there's the falls.
Yeah.
But there's so many things on the way.
Yeah, that nobody ever sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when I travel, I never have an itinerary. Like I might say, okay, I'm going to be in Arizona or something. Like I've got to have some idea to plan what I've got to bring.
Yeah.
If it's cold, I got to make sure I got the right clothing. If it's really hot, and I've got to dress appropriately. So I have to have some kind of planning. The rest, it's I'm going to be in this area, and if I'm driving down the road and I see a nice tree or something, I stop.
Right. Yeah, like a smorgasbord of scenery. Like you got to try everything.
Yeah.
Here and there and stop and.
To me, to be like the curse of death is to be stuck on a tour bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
With 70 or 80 people.
Yeah.
Somebody telling you got to be here at this time. You got to be here at this time, because if you see something and you just want to indulge, enjoy it, and breathe the air, say no, time's up. Out you go.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. Sorry, I was just getting interested in something, but I
exactly. But this day and age for people like me that want to travel, it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
Especially the last couple of years when the world was in a crisis.
That's right.
It has been a challenge. There's just so many places that say no trespassing. The government shut things down because they can't have people to man them. It's been tough for everybody.
I hope it opens up. If it ever opens up again, everybody's just going to explode.
Well, I'm just so grateful that there's people like you out here that are helping people that just want to explore and travel.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I hope you're an inspiration for other people that may have a little bit of land that they're not doing anything with, and say, hey.
You have no idea how many people have said that very same thing. Because when I get my piece of land, this is what I'm going to do.
And that's the spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be out in nature and to get away from it all.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to come together.
Yeah.
To find places where people can actually just sit around a campfire.
Sort of like sitting down to a meal alone. But if you sit down to a meal with other people, everything tastes so much better.
Absolutely, it's
food is better.
Yeah. It's the people around you. It's just not the surroundings.
That makes life interesting, because everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's different. And it's so much enjoyment just to sit around and talk about their life.
It is.
Yeah. So.
Totally agree.
That night the neighbors quietly rested, as did I. And by morning a friendly sun greeted me from over the marsh.
It's so nice to watch the sun come up, listen to the ducks, and have a warm cup of coffee. All the places around that are
off limits, no trespassing, or charge you for this and charge you for that. It's just so refreshing to have people like Don and his beautiful little property, and he's willing to share it for free. I hope he can do it for a little longer, because in this world we need places like this. So if you're in New Brunswick, come out and visit Don at the Shire.
Hello everybody, all you campers who like camping, come visit the Shire. We're here to make you happy.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my others as well.
Well, it seemed a little sad to leave, but I vowed to make another visit to Don, Sally, Hope, and the Shire another time soon.